Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some ProRevenge. Our first story today comes to us from Asmodeus. Thieving manager tries to frame me for their theft. It doesn't go well for them. Let's jump right in. I'm a long-time peruser of this subreddit, but have never posted this story because every time I think to, I am busy or on my mobile. It's a longish story, so I always put it off, but I have the time now. This story happened around 6 years ago when I worked for a retail company I will call NoOp. Jay was well known to be a thief by the base staff and some of the lower levels of management. Unfortunately, she was a golden girl to Mo and Travis, and we never had any solid proof. We also didn't get pay docked, etc. unless it was over a certain amount, which it never was. So staff never had a real incentive to try and find proof. One of Jay's favorite things to steal were vouchers for money off products or shopping because you were just supposed to rip them up and put them in the safe. There was no official way of counting these to return them to the company so she could use them again in a different store and get away with it. This particular day was Halloween and I was on till 4, the only till with no cameras on it. Mo came up and paid for her shopping with some gift vouchers she had received at a store manager's meeting because the store was doing really well. I served her and no one else touched my till all day because I was the main person on the tills for this shift. We closed up for the night and Jay took the registers to be cashed up. I went out to the pub with friends and had a good night not knowing what was coming. The next shift I'm on, Mo calls me into the office and tells me that the vouchers she used were not in the safe and she knew that it was my till. She wanted me to return the vouchers and would not press charges or put anything on my file if I just returned them immediately. I, of course, did not have them and testified as such, but she didn't believe me. I went looking everywhere, the bin under the till 4 and the bins outside, under the tills and on the floors around the tills, just in case I had dropped them or put them somewhere dumb while trying to sort out cash, etc. Roughly an hour later, Jay comes in, hears what's going on, and offers to look as well. She finds them in 30 seconds flat, somewhere I had already looked. I essentially hissed out, what a coincidence that as soon as Jay looks there, she finds it immediately. How coincidental! Seething with white fury as I knew she was now framing me for her own theft. She could have found them in the office and made it a simple mistake, but no, she made me the fall guy for her own idiocy. I tried to plead my case to Mo and Travis, stating that I wouldn't be dumb enough to steal vouchers that I knew were Mo's because I was the one who served her. One of the other team leaders, Paul, knew fine and well that it was Jay and tried to tell Mo and Travis that I was being set up. But she was the golden girl and could do no wrong while my name was mud as far as they were concerned. Heck, they thought Jay had caught me in the act. This meant war. Over the next few months, I got really friendly with Jay, flirting outrageously with her and basically pretending like I really respected her and that we were good buddies. It took me a while to work my way into her trust, but once I was there, I knew I could catch her stealing and prove it. We wasted off a load of Christmas chocolate products that hadn't been sold, and I put them in a bag to be put in the bin. Jay said we should take them home, against company policy and seen as stealing, because they were just going to waste otherwise. We were stood underneath a camera, just outside of its range, so I said, I don't want any, but if you want them, you can have them, and put them on a trolley just inside of the camera's range. I had studied the camera angles in great detail, preparing for a moment exactly like this. I saw her look at the camera, look down at the trolley and back to the camera before walking off to get her stuff. I warned my colleagues not to take any of the chocolate, even if offered, and had an evil grin on my face, which my colleagues commented on. When Jay came down, she nonchalantly picked up the bag as if it was her shopping, offered chocolate to everyone, and walked out the door with it. Gotcha, B. The next morning I arrived for my shift and put on the most somber face possible as I approached Travis. You should check the cameras on the back door at approximately 10:21. I think you'll find what you see is very interesting. He asked me to explain further and I looked over towards where Jay was, not even 5 meters away, and looked back. I can't go into further detail right now, but I would strongly suggest you go and look at the cameras for that time now. Travis begrudgingly walked off to do just that, and within 10 minutes, Jay was called into the office and her bag was searched. Within the hour, she was suspended pending investigation, and within the week, she was fired and barred from the store. I got a full apology from the managers who didn't believe me, who explained they genuinely believed it was me and had no idea Jay could have possibly been a thief. Their jaws hit the floor after I explained that every member of staff knew she was the thief, but that we didn't feel like we could do anything about it. After going around asking people if this was true, I got another apology. 6 months later, I was offered training to become a team leader myself. I took it, but ended up quitting for a white-collar role in a different company before I finished my training. So I have a bit of a background in retail myself, and I know there might be some questions coming up about if something is destined for the waste bin, then why can't you just take it? Well, the problem you run into there is that things just start happening to get damaged, and oh my gosh, we have to throw them out, oh I'll just take them home. So that's where that policy comes from, and the reason why, if something gets damaged or expired, it has to go in the garbage and can't just be taken home. Did you know we started back up the Karma Comment Chameleon podcast? It's now available on all major podcasting platforms. Just search out Karma Comment Chameleon. Our next story today comes to us from ChitAya. Refuse to teach all males in the class? We'll see what the Department of Education has to say about it. Let's jump right in. I'd like to preface this lengthy story by saying that this is in no way an anti-feminism story, an MRA tale, or anything of the sort. I'm a proud feminist who was just trying to graduate from my crappy high school and was having extreme difficulties with a particular teacher and an uncaring principal and faculty. Back in 2008, I was in year 11, Australian, second last year of high school. My high school had a reputation for being abysmal, and faculty would more often than not brush aside any problems students were facing. Enter the crazy teacher, from now on referred to as CT. Crazy teacher taught a multimedia class I enrolled in, and this was the first year they had done this class, as it was a TAFE equivalency course they were trialing, sort of like a community college course you could take during high school, earning a certificate at the end. These courses are not graded, but pass or fail. Crazy teacher started off fine for a few weeks, then the rants started. They would last the full hour of the class as she yelled and yelled about almost anything. Our perceived laziness, our idiocy, the powerlessness of the principal to do anything. This, obviously, severely impacted our work, as we couldn't focus while crazy teacher was screaming at the top of her lungs. Several students voiced concerns to deputies, the principal, student services, etc., all to no avail. One day, crazy teacher announced that because the male students were taking up all her time with questions, she would no longer be teaching us, instead only focusing on the female students. This was an elective course, and there were 2/3 male students to a 1/3 female students in the class. At first, I thought crazy teacher was joking, but it became abundantly clear that they were seriously not going to teach 2/3 of the class, while ranting and raving every time we had them. Eventually, I had had enough. I recorded one of her hour-long rants in its entirety on my old Nokia slide phone. I vividly remember that in it, crazy teacher said that the principal has no power in this classroom, God himself could come down from heaven and he wouldn't be able to stop me. Bingo. The next day, I took this to the principal and demanded a meeting with them and the vice deputy. I showed them the recording, albeit a mere snippet of the 60 minutes. After a moment, the principal asked if I knew that I could be suspended for using my phone in class and recording someone without their permission. I was told to delete the recording on my phone immediately or face disciplinary action. I deleted the recording as asked, and the principal and deputy thought that would be the end of it, but oh boy, were they wrong. While I'd never been one to stick up for myself, I decided it was now or never. I told the principal that I was disgusted by the audacity they displayed to threaten me with disciplinary action over showing them proof that there was a problem with crazy teacher. I told them truthfully that I had made copies of the recording and would release them to every major news and radio station unless something was done about this situation. They didn't believe me and again threatened me with suspension. At that moment, I realized what I had to do, so I pretended to drop it and claimed that I would continue my classes without complaint. That night, I wrote a very detailed letter to the Department of Education, wherein I recounted as much as I could remember about crazy teacher and their ridiculous rants. I explained the lengths I had gone to have this resolved within the school and the response I was met with. I put the copy of the recording onto a thumb drive with the letter and sent it to the Department of Education. Weeks went by without a response, and with everything I was dealing with at school, I had almost forgotten about it. Crazy teacher would not show up for some classes. Sometimes crazy teacher would kick us out for no reason and then scream at us for leaving. It was a nightmare. 3 weeks later, I received a response from the Department of Education. In the letter, they apologized for the mistreatment I had suffered at the hands of teacher and principal alike, and explained that they would be conducting an audit of the entire school. Literally every single staff member there would be audited with no stone left unturned. They thanked me for bringing this to their attention and assured me that no disciplinary action would be taken against me for recording the rant that I had supplied them with. Soon, the entire school found out what I had done. Most of the teachers absolutely loathed me after that point, one going so far as to say that, "You should have kept your mouth shut and your head down." I guess the audit was seen as an inconvenience to them, but what is a small inconvenience against the education and possibly graduation of around 15 kids? We just wanted to learn and were discriminated against for no reason, with no help offered from within the school. Even some of the students in that class with me thought I'd gone too far, but I couldn't care less about their opinions. I knew what I did was right. Eventually, crazy teacher left on her own accord, literally stomping out of class and driving away mid-lesson, never to be seen again. I heard she got a really nice job at a private school not far away, so I guess she got lucky. I graduated the next year, with the principal remarking as she handed over my certificate during the graduation ceremony, "I can't believe you made it." Not in an encouraging good for you way, mind you, but in a "I tried so hard to stop this from happening" kind of way. This was 10 years ago, and it still boils my blood thinking about it, but I learned a valuable lesson. If you can't fight the system, make the system work in your favor. I hope this encourages any students who are facing similar issues to speak up and demand that they receive the education they deserve. The same thing works for both schools and in the business environment. If you're having a problem with your teacher or your manager, you go up a level and mention it to them. If they don't get anywhere with it, then you go above their head as well, and you keep on doing this until you get the ears of somebody important. One thing you have to hope for, though, is that all of those levels aren't so corrupt that they'll protect that original teacher, because I'm sure that happens. Our last story today comes to us from YtSharkyavno. "I parked my friend's car in the sun. I learned to regret it." Let's jump right in. So I posted this in Petty Revenge, but it was apparently too extreme to be there. What my friend does goes way above and beyond the original offense, so it's ProRevenge done in a really petty way. Follows all rules, so now on to the story. I live in the desert part of the US, and during a few months in the summer, it is consistently over 110 degrees, 43.3 for my European bros. I was borrowing my friend's car for a quick drive, cause mine was at the shop. He asked me to park it in the shade, but I could not find a shady spot, so I couldn't. So when he went to use his car, it was burning hot inside. He went to me and asked why I did not park it in the shade, and I told him I could not find any. He told me I would regret it, and I thought he was joking. He then offered to pick up my car from the shop. I said yes because I thought he was just going to park it in the sun for a one-time revenge. So I drive a Prius, and it uses automatic keys that open it when you go near it. This will be important later. He parks my car in the sun like I expected and gives back my keys. I expect this to be the end, but no. The next day I went to work and parked in my normal spot in the shade, one of the only shady spots there. After that, I walked into work and proceeded as normal. Later, I went to find my car during lunch, only to see it 3 spots over in the sun. I thought that was weird, because I remember parking in my normal spot. But maybe I'm just tired, and someone was already there in the spot, and I'm having a memory lapse. My car being in the sun was burning hot. This continues to happen for like 10 more days, until I finally convince myself I'm not crazy. I start thinking, who the F is moving my car? No one has a key but me. Then I remember my friend and what he said. He had to be the one doing this. I talk to him and he smiles. Apparently, when he went to pick up my car, he got a new automatic key made for $300 and has been moving my car 2 or 3 spots over every day into the sun. Well, let's just say it did not stop after that, but instead, he did it more. From my apartment to work, he made it his life's duty that summer to make my driving miserable. Also, if you're reading this, name redacted, you know who you are, F you, Peckerhead. Additional info for anyone who thinks it's fake, cause he could not get the keys copied that easily. I had my title and registration in the car. I don't do that anymore because people have made me aware about how dumb that is. I would never take it out, cause I would lose it. He also had my driver's license, so the shop would let him pick up the car. I asked him, and he said the people who made the key just asked for the registration and title and never even asked for the driver's license, even though he had it. Also, he has stopped and given me back the key because it's winter now. This story is a few months old. He said that one summer was enough pain for my sin. So I don't know if anybody else is wondering here, but what was in his car that made him so angry about it being parked in the sun for one day? It seems to me like the revenge of constantly moving the friend's car was complete overkill. So here's the part where we get to speculate. Comment down below, what do you think was in the friend's car that he really didn't want it parked in the sun for? Check out all 4 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.